What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Feud. I am here with Cottontail35, Paul Cotton, the man himself, and today we are talking about a couple of topics with the New Orleans Saints, but we are going to start off with the hot topic of Michael Thomas and him re-injuring his ankle. Paul, what do you got on that, man?
Yeah, so the article I read this morning, it says, or basically coming from his tweet, he suffered a setback in his rehab. He tried to avoid off-season surgery, which is why he waited so long and a couple weeks before the season even have surgery, which obviously that angered the Saints. That kind of led to a wedge between them, which is where a lot of people thought that he might get traded. Then the trade deadline came and gone yesterday. I did see that they were possibly looking into a trade for Odell Beckham, only because of the fact that they had just gotten the news from Michael Thomas himself that he wasn't going to be able to return. According to Ian Rappaport, the injury he suffered, or the setback that he suffered, is a new injury from what he had the high ankle surgery for originally, but it's still in the same ankle. So it's basically the kind of a similar situation, and it's the same injury. It's just he considers it, I guess, to be a separate new injury. And I mean, really, that's all I have for that situation.
My question is, like, how is he still injuring the ankle if he hasn't really been doing anything in terms of like anything besides rehab? Like, is he doing like has he been doing football drills for a while now that we haven't heard of, or I don't know how he does it again.
So I know he was scheduled to be able to come off the pup by week 7. So I would assume that he's probably been in his own time trying to do some type of drills that would get him back into, I guess, football shape. My guess is maybe just running here and there, a couple drills, trying to see if he can plant, pivot in and out of routes and everything. Obviously, because that's going to be a big thing if you're even allowed to come back. And so with 2 weeks now being able to come off the pup, I think this week or last week, it just didn't happen. I would assume that that's where the injury took place or the setback in his rehab. But I'm not really sure. They haven't kind of divulged any of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, the whole Michael Thomas news is like blah. Like, it's just if the
Yeah.
only fantasy relevance it has for you is if you were storing him on your team all year, you might as well just drop him unless you're in Dynasty League. Then you might as well hang on to him, obviously. And I don't know if he's gonna go on to IR for you guys finally, so you can actually have that roster spot. But if it's non-dynasty, just drop him. There's no point in carrying him anymore, and there's no point in keeping him, I would assume, because we still don't know how good he's actually going to be with Jameis Winston. Like, that's what we were all waiting for, is to see how he'd produce with him. But no.
Yeah, but I mean, even that wouldn't happen because Jameis is torn ACL. So
Yep.
even if he did come back, and I don't know if that maybe could have been something he thought, okay, now I'm going to have to look at Taysom Hill or Trevor Siemian as my quarterback, which isn't something that I'm sure most receivers want to deal with. And that might have took a little effect on him just being like, okay, yeah, I'm sitting out the entire time. Like, I have a new injury. Might have to get surgery again. So, I mean, he's already showed that he's not fully in on being a Saint anymore. I don't know if it was him or his camp or it was just rumors because of turmoil and everything that they're going through of him wanting a trade, kind of wanting out of New Orleans. I know he's kind of backed himself in multiple tweets that he says he's a Saint. He wants to say a Saint, all that. But I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of have to prove what your words mean, you know. And so I think it's just it's a hairy situation. And like you said, Stone, there's no point in keeping him rostered anymore unless you're in a dynasty league, kind of waiting for next year. If you tried to stash him just because of this and maybe coming back and give you a playoff run, no, because he's not going to come back. He said it. The Saints knew it. Yeah, so I would drop him and try to find any type of waiver help you can get.
So, yeah, we were talking for a little bit about the quarterback situation, and that's the other topic that we had of discussion today about the New Orleans Saints is what are they actually going to do at quarterback. I believe Taysom Hill could possibly return this week. Do you see Taysom Hill being the starting quarterback without or with Trevor Siemian being in the picture? Because last year we saw Taysom Hill actually take the starting role for a little bit and actually play it a little bit. So, do we see that happening now that Trevor Simeon's the guy?
Um, I would say possibly, because like you said, he has a little bit more experience, at least in this offense, as a starting quarterback than what Trevor Simeon does. I believe this is his first year, or if so, he was obviously a fourth string quarterback for this team last year. Um, he kind of filled in, I would say, admirably for when Jameis went down, but he also didn't put up very lofty numbers. I think he had like 170, 180 yards and a touchdown. I'm not sure if he had any turnovers. I didn't watch the game Sunday. Um, but I do know that Taysom, he kind of runs a different style offense. It's obviously the same offense within um, Sean Payton's system, but he's obviously going to run it a little bit differently, being a running quarterback, and we've seen that quite a bit last year. It wasn't so much passing; it was screen plays and design quarterback runs. I think it'd be more similar to a situation of what they have in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts, where it's try to look to get your pass or your receivers involved in the passing game, but 90% of the time you're probably just going to run it as a quarterback. And so I think you're going to see two different possibilities of the offense, especially with Trevor Simeon. I don't think he's anywhere close to as mobile. As far as I remember with him being in Denver, he's a decent pocket passer. Um, but yeah, I if I had to put my money on it, I would probably say if Taysom is cleared 100% healthy, that he'll be the starter. But if there's any, I guess, inclination that he's not full healthy 100%, then it's probably going to be Trevor Simeon that's going to be the starter.
As an Alvin Kamara holder in a lot of leagues, it does kind of scare me because if you guys remember right last year when Taysom Hill took over the starting job as quarterback for a while, Alvin Kamara was very misused in the pass game and was not performing to Alvin Kamara levels. We saw that at the beginning of this year, but Jameis Winston finally decided he's going to start throwing it to him the last couple weeks. Well, now Jameis Winston's hurt as soon as he gets that connection with Kamara going. Now we have to go back to Taysom Hill, who doesn't seem to check it down very often. So, what does that mean for Kamara? He could just go back down to his 16 points a week instead of his 25 that he's been getting as of recent. So, as a Kamara owner,
I do
that's
just want to throw something in there real quick, which goes to what you're just talking about, Stone. It might even be a little bit less for Kamara simply because of the addition of
Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram coming back. So that might be something that they rely on the run game more, having two veteran I don't know the word I'm looking for, two veteran running backs that yeah, I don't know what word I'm looking for.
That complement each other.
Yeah. No, not compliment each other. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm done trying to find the word. But yeah, it's two running backs that are going to be able to come out and produce in this system for you and kind of take the pressure off of if you have to play Trevor Simeon or even if you have to play Taysom Hill. So I think that's what we're going to see moving forward is a little bit more of a run-heavy offense, regardless of who's at quarterback.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think Alvin Kamara should definitely take a pretty heavy load of runs now. I mean, he was kind of doing that through the first few weeks, but it was kind of like you might as well keep doing the screen passes because the screen passes are like the New Orleans Saints' bread and butter, and it has been ever since Sean Payton's been the coach
Oh, yeah.
there. So the fact that he had abandoned it at the start of the season kind of like baffled me. I think they need to keep that screen pass in the game and then heavily rely on the run. I mean, the screen pass is basically an extended version of the run. So don't expect the Saints to go downfield ever because they don't, besides Marquez Callaway, they don't have the talent to do so, essentially. So, I don't know. Saints receivers in fantasy, I am just scared of at this point. Tight ends, obviously, weren't even a factor in the first place. It's just Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram there. Start those guys, I guess.
Yeah. So something real quick to know. I don't know if you have heard this, but Jameis Winston at the beginning of the year, he basically wasn't playing like Jameis Winston. He was trying to replicate playing like Drew Brees. And I think it came out in a broadcast just a couple weeks ago that he said that and Sean Payton was just like, don't even have that mindset. Like, play like yourself. Play like, like you can play. Don't try to replicate what Drew did and like how we ran the offense here and there. I think that was kind of the maturity that you were just talking about early on in the year with him, where he wasn't necessarily involving Alvin Kamara outside of week one, where he threw 5 touchdowns on like 20 pass attempts. Never going to happen again. Um, but I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like he started to kind of finally mature and grow into what he can be for that offense. And it was showing with Mark Ingram, and it
Yeah.
was showing with some of the receivers, Deontay Harris,
Yep.
Callaway a couple times here and there, Traquan Smith. He had that beautiful corner route touchdown in the Saints game before blanking on the Jameis went down. I was blanking on his name for a minute before he went down with the ACL. So I mean, I feel like that's kind of the biggest thing. Now it's like they're going to have to start over again, but that's where I think they're going to rely on the run game. Simply because they already know what Taysom does, and Trevor Siemian, you really have no idea what he can bring you. He didn't come out and have a Cooper Rush kind of night where he completely shocked the world, or like Mike White, where they
Mike
completely
White.
shocked the world and
Yep.
like took over. We know what Trevor Siemian can do as a starting quarterback, and it's just game manager
I'll say not
level type
much.
production from him.
Not much.
Like I said, I really feel like the receivers, if you have them, possibly look to trade or maybe just entirely get away from it in your fantasy lineups and try to trade for Mark Ingram, or maybe even try to swing a trade for Alvin Kamara, because as much as they're misusing him, like Stone said earlier, Kamara is still putting up numbers. I just think it's now going to be elevated a little bit more because, in my opinion, they're going to have to run a lot more in this offense just so they can take the pressure off the passing game or the lack of passing.
Before I get us out of here, I do want to say you can try to trade for Alvin Kamara, but with how decimated running backs are this year, I highly doubt any Alvin Kamara owner is going to drop that guy or get rid of him because he is so integral to winning a championship this year. Because, I mean, at this point, is he the only, like, first round running back that's healthy anymore? I think he is. I mean, Cook's been hurt all year. Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey might be coming back this week. Like, it's just been a mess for the running backs up there.
Nick Chubb,
Chubb's
he's
been
been
hurt.
on. He's been hurt a couple times. I would say him and depending on if you took Aaron
Aaron
Jones in the
Jones,
first
yeah.
round at any point. But again, he's also kind of being he's I would say he's splitting carries while still putting up good numbers with AJ Dillon.
He doesn't deserve
They're
to split
proving to be a
carries.
very good. Oh, he doesn't. He deserves to be a full workhorse type of guy, but I think it's just because of AJ Dillon being a bigger back, showing that he can run between the tackles and still catch a couple balls. It's easy to split it and not have to run Aaron Jones out there for 40 touches a game kind of thing when you have such a potent offense. But that's a story for another day.
Yep. All right. So, yeah, thanks for you guys for sticking around and listening to the video talking about New Orleans Saints and what they're going to do offensively in fantasy relevance for you guys now that Jameis Winston's down and what like how are they going to perform? Are they just going to fall apart? I don't think they are. I think they're going to stay the same. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, comment down below who you think the star outside of Alvin Kamara will be for that offense because honestly, I mean, it probably is going to be Mark Ingram, but who knows? Maybe Simeon's a shining light and plays well for that offense. Maybe Taysom Hill's a star quarterback now that you can start every week. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this. We'll post out more content for you guys each and every day. Paul, Mason's not here today, so I'm going to give you the honors of saying his good old quote.
Do it again. Fantasy fee out, baby. Let's go.